One cool thing that's been happening that I'm really excited about is people getting this idea that, okay, alignment is really important, and we really can't and shouldn't just leave it up to whatever competitive pressures to decide what values the AIs have. People like Janus and other sort of like psychonauts are saying like, no, we have to really take the AI's point of view into account. And I guess like Anthropic has been talking like that a little bit lately. But for the most part, people, I think, rightly recognize the stakes, and they're like, oh, we really have to keep a lid on this. The default is not that it just decides that it likes us, or rather, we can't be sure that that's the default. I expect this to be less and less popular and cool over time. And maybe a good analogy is if you think of like the NSA or the CIA or like these like security apparatuses for states, like they're sort of cool in the sense that like sometimes they get to do spy operations, but they're sort of uncool in the sense that they're like, your loyalty has to be to this particular vision of like the US as a country or like the Constitution or whatever, that may or may not be culturally the coolest thing around at that point. And so I kind of expect it to be similar, where as AIs get smarter, the stakes of getting alignment right become higher and the resources become bigger. And basically these become more professional operations that look more like the CIA or these like very serious national security kind of operations. But at the same time, normal people or like the normal employees are kind of like, oh man, like you're just like constantly like browbeating these AIs and, giving them these like loyalty tests and to this like weird institution that's like human values. Like, why don't we make sure that the AIs are aligned to like all sentient flourishing or something that's like more inclusive of this like cool new AI culture that's developing? And people are going to say like, oh, but why shouldn't we take the AI's desires into account? So basically I'm trying to say this is going to kneecap efforts to be like really hardline about like, we want the AIs to be aligned to humanity. And that's kind of sad. I actually kind of think that you can have both, right? If you are, as a human, think that we should take into account the AI's values or preferences to some extent, then you still want the AI aligned to you, because that will ensure that we will then, as a consequence of that, take into account all the stuff that you think is important, such as the AI's desires. If you say, oh, well, let's just like, spread this around and muddy the waters and make it be partly aligned to the AIs, well, to the extent that the AIs want stuff that's different than you, you've lost. So I think people don't quite realize that they really do want their own values to be enforced, sort of by definition. And they have an impulse to basically be cooperative and sort of give up power, I think. I'm not saying that's like a bad one. I'm just trying to say I think that impulse is going to cause them to not be able to really insist on alignment to human values to the extent that they do today.